Hello, welcome to both Vlogmas Day 7 and Megan Monday episode, I think this is 9. I might have to correct myself in the text. But today we were actually going to make chicken broth anyways. My husband was like mid-broth and he was like, hey, do you have this on your channel yet? And I was like, oh my gosh, I teach every single private nutrition client that I have ever had how to make their own bone broth, and I'll tell you why in just a second. And he happened to be midstream, and so we were like, let's film it for the channel. The people need to know how to make their own broth. So I'm about to make it for you. It's super easy. It only takes a couple of minutes, and it's ingredients that you should already have on hand. So we do it after we have already made either a whole chicken or a bunch of bone-in chicken pieces. So Eric has already taken all the meat off, and so this is what it will look like for dinner. So this is all of our roasted cooked chicken. He marinated it and then cooked it in the oven, roasted it at 350. I don't know how big the chicken breasts were to begin with. I'm imagining that probably took like 40-45 minutes. But till the chicken is cooked all the way through, then we pick the meat off and we'll serve that with our dinner. And then all of the bones and skin, so if that was a whole chicken carcass, it would be a little bit more than this, but these are the bones and skin that were left over from the meat that we're gonna use for this meal. So literally every single thing, like if it grosses you out, if it's not something you would ever eat, it doesn't matter. It has nutrients in it and it's all gonna go into the broth. You'll strain it out later. So literally nothing goes in the garbage. You either eat it as meat or it goes in the soup pot. Those are the only two categories. So all the stuff goes in the pot. Again, I'm gonna get to why this is important in just a second. I just wanna go ahead and make the thing. And then we, he's so cute. He's like my video producer. He already poured me a pitcher of filtered water so I wouldn't have to like go back and forth. So filtered water is gonna go into the crock pot. I'm using a slow cooker. You can do this in an Instant Pot. You can do this stovetop on a burner with a big stew pot, and you can cook it if you don't mind your burner being on for at least 8 hours, because that's the minimum that it would take for chicken. It would be closer to like 12 to 14 hours for bigger bones like beef, but for chicken, it would be minimum 8 hours. I like it in a slow cooker because we can set it on low and then just let it cook all night and we don't have to think about it burning down the house or anything like that ever again. So we just set it and forget it. So I'm gonna pour in, I have no idea how much water this is gonna be, but it's gonna be just enough to cover the top of the bones, because you want a really thick gelatinous broth to make sure that you have all the nutrients still preserved in there. You don't really want a watery broth. And so if you put in too much water, then it'll never solidify, it'll never gel. So I pour in just enough water to cover the top of the bones. And keep in mind, one of the reasons why we're doing this is because all of the nutrients that are required to make a bone, a joint, a piece of skin, like the chondroitin and the collagen, the gelatin, all of the amino acids and minerals, phosphorus, calcium, magnesium, all the things that are required to make up an animal tissue are the exact same building blocks that are required to make up your tissue as a mammal. And so what we are doing is we are slow cooking down the pieces of this tissue that are gonna become the building blocks of your own. So I am leaching out over the course of time the magnesium and the phosphorus and the amino acids, glycine, all of these really healing, nutrient-dense building blocks of nutrition are coming out of this animal that gave its life for us. So we shall consume it in gratitude and be blessed and strengthened by its sacrifice. All right, so just enough water to cover the top of the bones. And then I'm gonna add the other two ingredients that I would imagine that you have in your pantry. If not, they are certainly worthwhile you grabbing. This top is giving me trouble. And that would be raw apple cider vinegar. I recommend that everybody have this in your house. It is a fermented product that is going to give you some trace amounts of live probiotics that will, of course, feed your healthy, happy gut bacteria. It also has live enzymes that are going to help with digestion. And above all, it is extremely acidic. And so actually one of the problems that a lot of my clients and people with just digestive distress in general, any issues of inflammation, one of the things that they actually have at a root is low stomach acid, because it is suppressed. Our own stomach acid is suppressed through a mineral poor diet and through stress. That describes most of us. So what you can do is take a little bit of apple cider vinegar in water, diluted in water so it doesn't harm the enamel on your teeth, and I have my clients work up to 1 tablespoon in 8 ounces of water before each of their 3 meals. So over time, they're working up to 3 tablespoons a day. And that doesn't mean you start there. It's going to taste very strong when you're just starting. But I'm just saying this is a wonderful supplement to have in your refrigerator. Anytime anybody in my family has any kind of tummy ache or headache or any symptom of food not being digested properly, then we go to vinegar water. My kids have actually acquired a taste for it now because their body has been healed by it so many times that it knows that this is something that is going to produce a positive result. And so now they don't even balk at the flavor anymore because they have a positive healing reaction associated with it. So the action of the vinegar in the broth is that its acidic pH is going to help the bones release some of their mineral content. So it's going to kind of open up the cells a little bit so that we can have a more nutrient-rich broth. You won't taste it in the final product. So I do 2 tablespoons, roughly. 1, 2, that was probably more than 2. I don't measure unless I'm baking and I have to. This is a really high quality salt. If you are cooking with regular iodized Morton's, like grocery store salt, please get yourself a high quality one. Sodium is one of the minerals that is required for us to retain the hydration that we are drinking every day. So drink your water, but also make sure that there is adequate high quality sodium in your diet. And that means that it comes with all of its trace minerals around it, and it's not just isolated sodium chloride like table salt. So a pink Himalayan, a Celtic sea salt, an unrefined sea salt, if you can get any browns or blacks from Hawaii, there's all kinds of mineral-rich salts out there, but probably the easiest to find is gonna be pink Himalayan or a Celtic sea salt. That is at every grocery store I've ever been to. So I'm just gonna flavor it and get some additional minerals in here. A few shakes of the salt. Boom. If we want more when we drink it or when we make soup or whatever, then we can add more salt later. And then I'm just gonna cook it on low. Like I said, 8 hours at the minimum. Probably 24 is maybe where you want it to live. 24 hours is probably best. Sometimes we're lazy the next day and we don't really feel like pouring it all off and getting it into the jars and everything. So we've been known to let it cook up to 48, but it certainly will be thin by that point because it's just cooked down for so long. It's not gonna hurt you, but 24 is probably the sweet spot, 24 hours in the slow cooker. So let me just remind you why we are doing this. We are getting minerals and gut healing amino acids into your digestive tract so that you can better absorb all of your food. And better absorbed food is going to lead to more nourished glands and organs like your thyroid, like your adrenals, like your liver. And if all of those organs are supported and well nourished, then they can balance blood sugar better, they can balance and detoxify hormones better, your metabolism goes faster, you lose fat, you're able to hold on to muscle mass, and your symptoms of inflammation start to go down. So it's all connected. We are one living, breathing organism. Every action is interdependent with our other actions. So whatever it is that you're trying to do, whether that's look better in your clothes or feel better, energy, brain fog, some kind of symptom, there is nothing that I can't imagine wouldn't be served by adding bone broth to your diet. It's so easy to make, so economical, it really stretches your food dollars. And it's just something great to have around. Either drink it or make soup with it or cook rice with it or cook veggies with it. There's always a pile of jars of broth in my fridge if you were to ever come over. So let me know in the comments, have you ever made it? Did your mom make it? Did your grandma make it? Do you have a family tradition of broth making in your lineage? And if not, are you willing to be the first? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for being here on this Megan Monday and this Vlogmas episode 7, and I will see you tomorrow.